What is up, guys? My name is Calmate, and we're here with some tips, some tricks, and some straight up cheese to help you play 7 Days to Die like a pro. And we're here to show you how to build the pyramid wedge tip base. So the first thing that I like to do is you got to make sure you have some flagstone blocks, and you want to have some cobblestone rocks also. Very easy to get, an easy resource to have early on in the game. So the first thing you want to do is, if you don't already know, the blue pallets inside POIs that'll look like this, those will give you 35 cobblestone each. However, if you haven't run across, or you've been neglecting your resource farming and gathering throughout your first 7 days, don't worry. You can very easily make cobblestone rocks by small stones and clay soil. So as you can see here, we have 6,000 clay soil and 6,000 small stones. If you go into your recipe portion, you'll be able to make cobblestone rocks right inside your tool belt. And it's a simple 1-to-1 ratio. 1 clay soil, 1 small stone will give you 1 cobblestone rock. Now, it does take a little bit of time to make each cobblestone rock, about a second per. So if you're doing this, make sure you're doing this a little bit early to leave you enough time to gather enough cobblestone to have this full build complete. Okay, so now that you have your cobblestone rocks ready to go, you're going to want to turn those into flagstone blocks. I already have a stack of flagstone blocks, but the way you do that is, again, just go to recipes, flagstone, takes 4 cobblestone rocks to make 1 flagstone block. So you have your flagstone blocks created, you have your cobblestone rocks ready to go for upgrading, and it's time to build. So the first thing you want to do is decide how high you want this pyramid to go. I personally like it to be about 5 blocks high. That gives you a lot of room if the zombies do start to stack up down below. What I do is, right underneath me, I'll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now this is the area that you can actually stand on for the entirety of the night and be totally safe and secure. Now, how this is going to work is we're going to create a pyramid system that the zombies cannot run up. You can run up it yourself, but the zombies cannot run up it. They are simply not fast enough. So the first thing we want to do is, starting from the top and working our way down, we're going to take our flagstone blocks and we hold the R button and we open up the different shapes. The first shape that we're going to want is called a wedge tip. So if you can type in wedge up here, and we're going to find the flagstone wedge tips. Also on the full menu, it's just right down here on the bottom section. So we're going to turn all of these into this. We're just going to left click on that. Okay, so now that we have the pillar complete, 5 blocks high, what I like to do is we're going to need to have 3 different shaped blocks to start with. So what I like to do is actually break up my blocks into 3 different stacks. The amount doesn't really matter. We're not going to use 123 of any specific one. So I just stack it up just like that. Okay, so for this first block, what we're going to do is we're going to leave that as a square block because we will need some of those. On our second block, I'm going to go ahead and hold R, and it opens up this creative menu that allows you to do some fun things with it, and that we'll get to in a second. So the first thing we're going to do is take this into shape. So we're just going to mouse over the word shape as we're still holding the R button. We let go of the R button and it opens up all the different types of shapes that you can create out of this flagstone block. So the shape that we're going to want for this portion of the build is called a wedge tip. It's right down here, this flagstone wedge tip. It's at the very bottom in the 3rd column. Also, you can use the search function to type in wedge tip or any wedge, and you'll find it right here. So we're simply going to left click on this, and you can see the example block that we've chosen right here. You hit the escape button, and now anything in our 4 slot for our tool belt, we have 124 wedge tip blocks. The second shape that we're going to want, which we'll make in our number 5 tool belt. So again, we go to hold the R button, we go select a shape, and we are still on the wedge search function, and we are going to want the flagstone wedge. If you're not doing the search function, the flagstone wedge block is right here. So it's the second column, the fourth from the top. We're going to make sure our example photo is the one that we want, and then we're going to hit escape. So what we do with this is we want to make sure we have these steep angles so the zombies cannot run up them. In order to create the steep angles, right now, the standard rotation does not give us the steep angles. So we're going to go to our wedge tip, which we're going to build from the very top. We're going to hold R again, go to advanced rotation, and we are going to left click this until we can get the steep angle that we want for this wedge tip. So if you can see it just like that, right at the very top, we have a very sharp, very steep angle. You're going to right click and attach it to it. Now, the next block that we're going to do is working our way down. We're going to take the flagstone wedge that we've also created in our new slot, do another advanced rotation, and then simply match it up with the wedge tip that's right above it. Just like that. So as you can see, that is a very steep angle, and a zombie will not be able to run up this angle. Okay, one mistake that I see happens pretty often when people are building this is they don't realize that there's an advanced rotation and they don't get the proper angle. So they will build this working from the outside in. They will actually build it and it'll look like this. Okay, so here you can see the two different styles that I'm talking about. If you do not know about the advanced rotation and you build the wedge tips, you're going to get this very low incline ramp that any zombie can run up. However, if you go into the advanced rotation, you can build this steep pyramid style ramp that a zombie cannot run up, and this is crucial to the integrity of this base. Okay, so now that we have this first ramp system built up, we're going to continue with that pattern all the way down. However, to be able to get to that point, we're going to have to put a flat, just a basic square block right here. And then we will come back and do another wedge tip right off of this. As you can see, that slope is continuing all the way down. So right underneath it, we're going to put another square block. And then we're going to put another flagstone wedge block. Just like that. And now we're going to have to get one more block all the way down. So we're going to put 2 square blocks and continue with the pattern, 1 wedge tip. Okay, so now you can see the very basic design of this base. We're going to make the entire base 360 degrees around this steep block section. And as you can see, if you run up and sprint, you can make your way all the way up to the very top. And you can stand here all day shooting down on the zombies. Okay, so now that we have this side completed, let's go ahead and knock out the other side of the exact same way. We will take our wedge tips, start from the top. We're going to use the flagstone wedge on the second block, just like that. Now for the third one, we're going to have to put a square block and then a wedge tip. For the next one, we're going to go back to a square block, then the flagstone wedge. And for the final one, we're going to do 2 squares, 1, 2, and then a wedge stone tip. Just like that. Okay, so now both of these sides are identical. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing for the north and the south side of this pyramid. We're going to start with our wedge tip at the top. Then we're going to go with our flagstone wedge. Now that we have those two in, so the third piece again is going to be a 1 square block with a wedge tip on the outside of it. Then another square block with the wedge. And now the bottom of both is going to be 2 blocks with a wedge tip. And now we're going to repeat the process for this fourth side also. So wedge tip at the top, flagstone wedge for the second. Third, we're going to have a square block with a wedge tip on the outside. The fourth is going to be another square block with now the wedge on the outside. And the very bottom row is going to be a 2 square blocks with the wedge tip on the bottom. So now we've created all 4 sides of this. Okay, so now that we've got the 4 sides done, we have to fill in these corner pieces. So as I stated in the beginning, I like to go ahead and separate these so we can have the next 2 designs with their own individual stacks instead of having to swap each one individually. So the first one we're going to need is we're going to hover over a new stack. We're going to go back to shapes, and we are going to look for this flagstone wedge steep corner top. So if you're looking at it from the total shape design, it is on the far right, the 4th from the top. If you go ahead and search through wedge, it's going to be at this location right here. So we're going to left click on that, make sure it matches what we want, and bring it down. Now what this is going to do, it's going to fill in that little tiny tip at the very top. So we're going to start with that one. All right, so the next design that we're going to need, back to the shapes, we're still in the wedge, and we're looking for this flagstone wedge steep corner base. So we're going to click on that, make sure that it still matches our example. And if you don't go to the search function within the main menu, it's going to be right here. Again, the 2nd from the right and the 4th from the top. And this piece is going to rotate directly underneath that other steep tip that we put in there. And just like when we were building the sides down, the next block down, we're going to put a square all the way down here. And let's go ahead and do this for all 4 sides. So again, with the steep wedge tip, just like that, with the corner base, and then underneath it, we're going to put another square. So start at the top, the corner base underneath it, and then the square piece underneath that. And for the last side, we're going to do the same thing. Corner base for the 2nd, and 3rd we're going to put a square. Okay, as you can see here, so we filled these squares all the way down on this corner. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing on all 4 corners. So now your base will look like this. There's still a lot of corners for the zombies to get trapped in. So what we're going to do is mimic these sides, the first 4 sides that we created. We're now going to put it on the sides, on the blocks that are beside them. So one very quick and easy way to do this, if you've already got rid of the blocks and you are going back to, let's say we got rid of these steep and this wedge block incline. If we're going to go back, recreate these style of blocks, go find the wedge tip again, which is this block right here. Instead of going through the motions of finding the shape and then again finding the rotation, what you can do is as you're holding R with your cursor, your crosshairs over the block that you want to mimic, you can hold R, hit this one right here. This is copy shape. Let go of R with your mouse over top of it, and it's going to automatically switch over to the shape that your crosshairs were over. Now this is set up, as you can see, with the simple rotation, which is not the degrees that we want. So if we hold R again, we can go to this button where it says copy rotation. Now you can see, without having to go into the advanced menu, rotate through everything, or the shape menu to find the shape that we want, we can just copy shape, copy rotation, and we're good to go. So we're going to put one there, and we'll put one here. And just like we did in the past, where we want the flagstone wedge, we're going to take our blocks with our crosshairs over the flagstone wedge. We're going to copy shape, and we're going to copy rotation, and put both pieces in right there. Now for here, we're going to have to fill this in with another full square block, just like we did when we were building the original 4 sides. And take the wedge tips that we have, fill in both those sections. So now you can kind of see what it's beginning to look like. And we're going to do the same thing for all 4 sides. We're going to go ahead and take these wedge tips, again, copy rotation, and we just plop it down just like that. The incline wedge, crosshairs over this, copy rotation. Now we know square blocks, our wedge tips are just like that. So there's a whole nother side. Same thing for this third side, copy rotation. Take our flagstone wedge blocks, we're going to copy rotation. We know we want a full square block down on the bottom. Back to the wedge tips. Now for this last side, same thing. We're going to take it, we're going to copy the rotation. Flagstone wedge blocks, again, copy rotation. Bottom row, we want full square blocks. And last but not least, okay, so now all four sides have these steep wedge tips going all the way up. Now we still have some of these corner pieces to fill in. So we're going to do the exact same thing that we did when we were filling the top in. We have this piece right here, which is again called the flagstone wedge steep corner tops. I just happen to keep my action bar. And we're going to rotate them to fill in the very small corner pieces all the way around. Now the next thing we're going to do is take the wedgestone base corner pieces and do the same thing. Fill it in all the way around. On the bottom, we're going to put in the full square block all the way 360 degrees on all four sides. Okay, now we still have a little bit more that we need to do to get rid of any of these sharp angles that the zombies will get caught on. So we'll go back to fill in just like we did on the bottom with these wedgestone tips. If you only have these square blocks available, and if you don't have all 5 of these items right down here, you're going to just simply mouse over the shape that you want, hold R, copy shape, and again hold R and copy rotation. And put it on both sides. Now that last little bit left, we can put our steep wedge tip corner pieces right inside there to finish it off. And you're done. Your pyramid is complete. No zombies will be able to get up and get to you on this base. So now that we're completed with this pyramid base, you can see we started this build off with 499 flagstone blocks. We have 379 remaining. So this entire build took 120 flagstone blocks, which it takes 4 cobblestone rocks to actually make 1 flagstone block. So 120 blocks times 4. So this entire build requires only 480 cobblestone rocks. That's not even a half a stack. It's very cheap on resources. One of the beauties of this base is as your Horde Night approaches and zombies attempt to come and get you, they see these inclines as a pathway to run to you, and they simply do not sit here and try to beat on these walls. They will not come up there like a flat wall and try to do that. So let's go ahead and fast forward to Horde Night and see how this works out. So now we're at Horde time. I went ahead and spawned in a level 1 AK-47, a level 1 pistol, and a level 3 double barrel shotgun, which I would expect everyone to have at least by day 7. We are also currently level 11 with a game stage of 28, which is about where you are on after a day set onto a day 7 horde. So let's see what happens as they begin to spawn inside of a horde. I did set all the parameters to default settings, so we have a default of 8 zombie spawns. And as you can see, all they try to do is run and jump up. Every now and then you may see one of them try to smack the wall. Right there you can see her doing it. But what they'll try to do more times than not is just simply run up the wall itself. And this is set on warrior difficulty. So I'm just going to keep kind of doing what I would typically do on a Horde Night. and just let them come. You can see how they stacked on top of each other right here. So he was able to get up to that kind of like 4 blocks high, but that's why I like building this 5 blocks high. Even if they stack up on top of one other person and get to that 4 blocks, they're still out of range for them to actually do any damage to you. So they did break one of those blocks that I was saying down at the bottom, just from simply doing something like this. Alright, so it looks like we're coming down to the end of this horde. With this last little bit down. Alright, it looks like that's about it. Alright. Day 7 Horde Night down. Let's go down there and see what kind of damage they did. So this whole base, after an entire Horde Night, they took out this one little corner. They took out these 2 little blocks. Did a little bit of damage there. And these 2 blocks right here. That's not bad. On an entire Horde Night on Flagstone, when we very easily could have upgraded these to Cobblestone, and Cobblestone goes to 1500, so we get triple the amount of HP. That's pretty good. I don't think they would have broken maybe more than 1 block, if that, if we were to went this just the top, just these 2, because you can see there's hardly any damage up top at all once you get to like kind of like 3rd block range. So this one right here, yeah. So if these would have been, let's fill this in. So let's see, they would have done, so copy shape here, get a square. Copy shape, copy rotation. So that's 2 blocks that they took out. It's 1,000 hit points. 1,000 hit points. If these would have been Cobblestone, 500 to 1,500, yes. So if you have the extra Cobblestones, we just use 10. Okay, so to upgrade every single block here on the bottom 2 rows to Cobblestone, we used about 300, about 200 to 300 Cobblestone rocks. That's it. So again, we would have been 480 Cobblestone rocks to make this entire platform pyramid, and then about another 200 Cobblestone rocks to upgrade from Flagstone to Cobblestone on the bottom 2 layers. I'm pretty sure everybody can get at least 1,000 Cobblestone by day 7. And again, if you cannot, you can always dig clay soil, small stones, get you what you need. Okay guys, and that is how you build the pyramid out of Flagstone wedge tip bases for a day 7 horde. Again, this base can be modified and altered to fit your specific needs, and as the days increase, it's a good idea to do that with building some sort of birdcage on top, maybe extending this out so it's more than just 1 block wide for you to stand on. If you're in multiplayer, you can make this as big as you want. So as you can see, you can also make this to a much grander scale. We built the same walls across the same thing, just on a much bigger base. You can set up your home this way. So you have your crafting stations in here, you have your storage boxes, whatever you need is all perfect. It's nice and safe inside here. So as you're working at nighttime, let's use these guys as a test run. Get right inside here, run right up the walls. And inside the base. And they can't get in. Gives you enough time to hear them, get out there, shoot them, kill them, get back to working at nighttime. So now that we're inside here, let's go see. They're all here, out of the base. Just sitting here, doing exactly what happened on Horde night. Not attacking anything. Just running by it. They can't get in. You're safe. You can come up here. Quickly kill them. Get right back to whatever you were doing inside here. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. If you got any questions, please leave them down below. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace. If you're liking these videos, make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. It really does help. Thank you all so much. I will catch you in the next one. Peace.